And now we have AP correspondent Jon Gambrell, who is reporting for CNA Live from Dubai. John, reports of fresh strikes across Dubai. What's the situation on the ground where you are?
Just moments before you guys came to me on air, there were a series of explosions that shook where I am in Dubai out towards the desert side, not the downtown side. Immediately after those blasts, we saw the pyrocumulus clouds in the sky that signify a missile interceptor going off. Now, we don't know if it was successful or not, but we did see that big cloud, and typically what happens afterwards is shrapnel falls to the ground. We have seen 2 fatalities so far in Abu Dhabi from those interceptors hitting their targets. Also in Dubai, we've seen a hotel catch fire, possibly from debris from one of those interceptions or a piece of one of these missiles. We've seen footage that also suggests drones were used on a target in Dubai as well. So it's really been pretty chaotic, both here in Dubai, which has long kind of described itself as a safe corner of a conflict-riven Middle East, and meanwhile we're seeing it across other Gulf states as well. Bahrain, which is the home to the headquarters of the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet, was attacked. We also saw attacks on an airbase in Kuwait, as well as attacks on Qatar, which is home to a major U.S. military installation. Saudi Arabia also says that it's come under Iranian attack, but it repelled that assault. Meanwhile, the Israelis are continuing to pound targets in Iran. They say that they hit targets in central and western Tehran central and western Iran early this morning. We don't have any details on casualties from that, but the situation remains tense. These attacks continue, and the Iranians have threatened to take revenge over the killing of Khamenei.
Well, in fact, Iran has also launching a new wave of strikes across other parts of the Gulf. How extensive is that?
It is pretty extensive. We have seen sirens going off in Bahrain, in Qatar. Now, in Qatar, they have said that they've been able to intercept all these missiles. We don't have any reports of injuries there, but that's shaking that small Gulf Arab country that shares a large natural gas field with Iran, because it came under attack in June as well, back during that 12-day Israeli war that saw the Americans bomb 3 Iranian uranium enrichment facilities. So the whole situation is pretty chaotic. We're hearing of more sirens going off in Bahrain this morning, warnings by text message to those in Qatar, and Kuwait also remains on edge. So, these Gulf Arab leaders are talking to each other. They have said that they're willing to retaliate, but we don't know if that's going to mean military action or not. Right now, the Americans and the Israelis seem to be keeping up their tempo on attacks, so they may just rely on that assault. But the Gulf Arabs, who had been trying to reach a détente with Iran over the last couple of years, seem very angry over what's happening in their towns and cities today.
Now, because most of the targets are U.S. targets in the Gulf states, how has the Gulf states responded to these strikes so far?
Well, it's interesting. They're still trying to weigh just exactly what they want to say and how they want to deal with Iran. Since the 1979 Islamic Revolution, they've had a very uneasy relationship. Bahrain long has accused Iran of trying to sow dissent there. Kuwait in the 1980s had a series of attacks that it blamed on Iranian-backed militants. And Iran sort of has seesawed back and forth between being conciliatory and then also being aggressive in sort of its pursuit for regional superiority. Particularly after the 2003 U.S.-led invasion of Iraq, Iran really rose up. They had these militant groups that they supported that they called the Axis of Resistance. Now, since the Israel-Hamas war in 2023 started, Israel has gone around the region and basically decimated all these different groups like Hamas in the Gaza Strip or Hezbollah in Lebanon. Yemen's Houthi rebels are still around, but they took hits from both the Americans and the Israelis over the last several years. And there's really not that much of a support right now that's being offered by these militia groups. We haven't seen them really enter the fight, though they've suggested they would. So it remains unclear just sort of if that's going to escalate, and if that does, that could put more pressure on the Gulf Arab countries as they weigh whether or not to join any sort of military response to these ongoing Iranian attacks.
Many thanks for that update, Jon. Jon Gambrell covering the story for CNA Live from Dubai.